Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Codex Reviews. Today we are on Volume 2 of Stranger Things Season 4, and boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Some of it good, some of it bad, and a lot in between. So before we get started with that, you know what's coming. We're going to get the business out of the way. Don't forget to find us on all the social medias: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Discord, YouTube, all that cool stuff, even podcast streaming platforms. All you got to do is type in the Codex Station, and that is where you will find us. Kristen, you got something else that you need to let people know? What would that be?
Absolutely. We have merch signs. So if you want to be super cool like us, you can go ahead to our merch store. We'll drop the link down in the comments section. And we have t-shirts, hoodies, and stickers. And I have to say, my mom was so jealous of how soft our shirts were. She made me buy one for her at our 4th of July family gathering, like right then and there.
That's amazing.
That's an endorsement right there.
And we got the merch live right there. Tone, before you dive into and take us back into the Upside Down, what did people need to do?
Well, the first thing they need to do is like, subscribe, share. Thank you for tuning in, and let's help join the community. Get the word out there that we're out here building this content for you. We do everything we do because we love the properties and we love you. We love comics. We love this pop culture stuff. We love heroes, and you are a hero.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So with all that awesomeness out of the way, Tone, why don't you let us know exactly how you feel about Volume 2 of Stranger Things Season 4?
So to start at the end of Volume 1, Stranger Things Season 4, we ended with the big reveal that Vecna was one and one was Vecna, right? We get the full story of what Elle went through, right? All of Elle's memories. And I had, based upon that, you see what's taking place in Russia, you see what's taking place in Nevada, you see what's taking place in California, and you see what's taking place in Hawkins. And there are all of these events taking place all over the world. And so I was really excited for Season 4, Part 2. Now, to start, I wasn't happy. At the conclusion of it, entertaining, a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of things going on, very dramatic, but in the end, it did not please me. And there are numerous things that did not please me. And I think it's the first aspect of any season of Stranger Things where I feel like, to include Part 1, where I feel like the Duffy brothers dropped the ball here.
Okay.
It's almost like jumping the shark.
to
use a really old term.
Yeah, exactly. Which I love, by the way. Who can't jump the shark, right?
Well, apparently Fonzie can't, because that's how that started.
But so to start, and I'm going to kind of not get down into the moments within the different aspects of the episodes. I'm just going to start at a strategic level, a large level.
Okay.
Which is, with everything going on globally, it kind of got to a point by midway through Season 4, Part 2, that this is just convenient plot driven chaos that takes place and then is solved. And for every challenge they meet, there's always an immediate, convenient solution to that challenge.
Fully agree.
Right, no matter where they are on the globe.
I will not disagree with that.
The fact that they are synchronized, right, in what they're doing globally with no communication whatsoever, and things just always happen to work out. Like, take, for example, Hopper and Russia. It just so happens they go into the house, and it just so happens they have a flamethrower, right, that they're just so happen to need to use to beat the I forget the name of the monsters, the Demogorgons, right, and the Demodogs that were there. It just magically perfect. It just so happened that at the moment, Demogorgon, it just so happens that at the moment that Elle and Papa come out of the subterranean bunker, the van with the guys just so happened to be showing up at that moment. It just so happens that the guy in the helicopter has a clean shot, right? but just happens to take the extra 40 seconds for Elle to compose herself before he drops the shot on her. There's so much of that takes place. In one or two of them, I'm not even thinking about, hey.
Do you think it's like conveniences that was in the second part of the season, or overall?
Oh, absolutely. If I think it was prevalent in season 4 writ large, but by the time we get to season 4 part 2, it's so direct and on the nose, it started making the story feel fanciful for me. Like, it doesn't make a difference what challenge they encounter, right? Because they're going to get a magic solution to it, that they're going to guess something and it's going to be perfect, and they're going to move out and it's going to work exactly the way they planned it to.
And they're going to be okay.
Yeah. And I didn't like that at all. To me, that sucked a lot of the drama and tension directly out of the series. I just feel like I would have liked the story more tightly written. I don't think they needed to go global and stay global. Don't think they need to have things in 2 different states and in Russia to make this story interesting. And that would have been a great place to start. I also would have liked to see them have to come together to deal with some things, which at no point in the story they didn't do. At no point of the story they did.
Right.
Some of the characters have become increasingly unlikable for me. I really, really don't like Mike, right?
Thank you.
I loved him this season.
Oh God, no, he's horrible.
Yeah.
You have horrible taste,
no.
Tim.
Tone, let me ask you, do you think that, and this is how I felt about it, like what you said, where they were all separated, and you can even see right here, they're all separated. Do you think that the Duffer Brothers kind of put themselves in a position to where they couldn't figure a reasonable way to write themselves out of having the entire party separated all over the country and even across the world?
I don't think so. And I think Kristen would agree with me on that.
Yeah, I think they wrote it intentionally because they've always intended for it to be 5 seasons. So I don't think that they wrote themselves into a corner. Not by separating everybody. I think the issue here, the bigger issue for me is when you see me in my comic reviews now, it's the ex machina thing. There's always a convenient plot device that makes whatever thing that they were facing suddenly nothing. It's like a B horror movie where, you get this whole entire plot and, oh my gosh, we didn't think about how you're supposed to destroy the big bad. So, here's this abandoned tool shed with all these tools that you can now use.
Right.
Yeah.
Things of that nature. And I felt that way during part 1, definitely felt that way during part 2. And I agree with a review that I read online that said what really hurt the series was taking it from this horror mystery show that worked so well in the first season, the second season, and then you had to throw in Russia in the third season. So then instead of making this unique thing, you took it to the 80s movie place where everything had to do with the Cold War in Russia. I get that was very important in the 80s, but you could have just mentioned it without having to make a whole entire plot point in another country, because you could take out that whole Russia thing and be absolutely fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely fine. Completely. It's just not needed. You could have found something else for Hopper and Joyce to do if you wanted them to be prevalent in the series. But it didn't need to happen in Russia. It was just not necessary.
Now, go ahead, Tone.
And really look at the mechanics for that entire story arc to unfold, right? We literally have, you're going to put Hopper in Russia. Fine, you use you get him transported through Russia. Originally, I thought, okay, he got left in the Upside Down. He was in,
which would have made more sense.
Yep. and somehow they had a portal on the other side. They had a gate on the other side, and they got him out that way, right? When he jumped through, he landed in Russia. But no, they actually kidnapped him and took him from the United States to Russia. And now Joyce, everybody's favorite hometown mom, right, decides, I need to go rescue my man from Russia.
With Murray.
Right. Who just happens to be there, ready to re-engage clandestine connections to get him into Russia. They get into Russia, where Hopper just so happened to have a plan on breaking out a Russian Max that even other Russians can't break out of.
Yeah.
Right. And then not only do they break out and he gets recaught and then he gets saved, but then they go and break back in,
Yeah.
right, and survive. At some point, you start saying it's starting. It moves past my willing suspension of disbelief, right?
It's plot for the
Right.
sake of having a plot.
Yes.
Now, I'll say this. I was completely wrapped in everything that was going on in the second part of season 2. And I think a big reason why that is.
You mean season 4?
Well, yeah, season 4. Sorry.
No, just making sure that we weren't going back in time.
Well, it has to do with the number 2, because I was sitting there watching it with my 2 kids, and they were completely immersed in what was going on. And just sitting there, feeling the energy off of them as I'm watching it and enjoying what's going on and stuff like that. I think that made it just a little bit different for me, because like with Eddie, when Master of Puppets played, by God, me and Ethan, my son, we spent the entire month looking at possibilities of what Eddie could be playing, and we had it narrowed down to 2, and it was either Master of Puppets or it was Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden, and I played both of them for him, and I was like, dude, read the lyrics, pay attention to what he's saying, listen, I bet you $100 it's Master of Puppets.
I mean, that was my choice too. I was like, it's got to be Master of Puppets.
Yeah, that's just my favorite scene in the entire season.
Oh yeah.
Eddie, which they took my favorite character from this season and killed him.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a noble death, though.
No.
Yes, I'll tell you why. To finish my point, though, when he hit that first note for Master of Puppets, I was like, oh, that's it. And Ethan turned around and he's like, Dad, it's Metallica. I said, Ethan, turn around and watch, dude. But what did Eddie say, though? Him and Dustin were standing there. They were talking to Steve, and they said, you go be the hero. We're not heroes. Do we look like heroes? No, we're not heroes. And what did they do? They did their job. They brought the demobats and all that stuff to come around so they could go in. And then they went to try and get out. And Eddie, instead of always running away, turned back around and went and did the hero bit. He paid the sacrifice for it, but I thought it was noble.
It's not that it wasn't noble. It was that it was completely freaking unnecessary.
You think so?
Oh, I know. So here's
100%.
the problem. My problem with Stranger Things lately has been, let's give you a character that you're going to fall in love with, or that is personal and everything. And you get that and you're like, they're death fodder. They're death fodder.
Yeah.
I don't get the chance to see them grow or anything like that. Yeah. The exceptions being Max and Robin.
Yeah. Lucas.
That's both. Well, Lucas was one of the main characters.
Right. But
in the beginning.
We'll get into this later, but I think that he had major growth this season.
Oh, yeah. No. I mean the characters that they introduced for one season.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And Max was introduced in the second season. Robin was introduced in the third. So what I mean is they survived. Mm-hmm. And that's just because they needed more female characters. Let's be honest. Because, well, it is 100%. They know what they're doing.
Good characters.
They're great characters, but that's why they lived. My problem is there's no real danger to the characters that we know and love. So what's the point? Yeah. Even the Duffer Brothers have said that they have left it open for Max to come back the 5th season.
Dustin sprained his leg.
Tim, I will reach through this camera.
Amazing danger
and strangle you so hard.
I mean,
but let's really look at that. Let's look at that right there for a moment. Dustin sprained his leg.
Yeah.
For 2 seasons, Dustin, really quick, they said Dustin, like, Mike's the heart. Mike, you're the heart. And I'm like, Mike sucks. Mike's not the heart. Dustin was always the heart.
Yes.
Right?
Mike was always the leader.
And Dustin has always been in the middle of things, in the mix of things, driving things, making things happen, solving problems, being the we can do this kind of guy.
I knew this compass wasn't broken.
And in this one, especially in part 2, he's just kind of sidelined of I'm not the hero. And I'm like, where did that come from? This I'm not the hero with Dustin. We've literally had him 3 seasons being a hero.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so now, and look at he leaves, Eddie stays, he comes back hurt into the Upside Down with no danger, right? While Eddie dies simultaneously.
See, and exactly the point. You're putting your characters in the minimal amount of danger. It's just like in season 3 where we all thought Hopper was dead, but you're like, oh, he can't be dead because they're just going to bring him back. And of course they did.
Right at the end of season 3, they did.
And I think that's what I said when we did our review for the first part, where I was like, you need to trust your audience. We'll be okay because we know that there's an end in season 5. We'll be okay if you take out a few of the characters we've grown to know and love. Otherwise, any series you now make, I'm going to sit there and go, that person's going to die. That person's going to die. It's they're there just to be cannon fodder. And I don't like that when it's a series that goes on for multiple seasons. Supernatural, one of my favorite series, does that all the time. It did it all the time for 12 seasons because they stretched it too long. That's the problem with this. You could have had Eddie at least, it's only one more season. You could have had him live to the end of season 5.
Agreed.
Okay.
Because I think he would have made a great addition to the grouping.
Absolutely. And I mean, if we're going to kill a character, Nancy.
God.
I was waiting for her to go this season, and that did not happen.
And that's what I mean. Like, I was talking to somebody, like, I would have been fine if you killed off Nancy, if you killed off Jonathan, if you killed off Lucas, or any of those other main characters that have been, don't get me wrong, all great characters, all played wonderfully. It's got nothing to do with the actors. But give us something to actually mourn and keep mourning for the next season.
Yeah.
Give us a reason. And see, that takes me into my main stink with season 4 as a whole is Max's death and undeath.
She's not dead. Come on.
It fit. Like when Vecna finally got her and her bones started twisting and turning and all that. And Lucas, after getting the snot beat out of him by Jason, is that his name?
Yeah, Jason.
Yeah. And coming back and beating Jason down and standing there and watching the girl that he loves get twisted into a pretzel. And then 11's like, no, you're not going anywhere. It's like, no, you needed to leave that alone. Max needed to go at that time, and it would have been such a way to end the season.
They did what I feared. It makes that episode Dear Billy and that great transition almost crap in a way, because you took away what was so good about her and surviving that and still knowing that she might still go. Yeah. And because she's still in Vecna's clutches, so to speak. Excuse me for losing my voice.
I just
we talked about that where we're like, if she doesn't die, you just made that null and void. So you just effed over your best episode of the season.
Build all that development to that, and then have 11 come in and turn it.
Save the day.
Not gonna happen.
I really would have, and even there when they didn't take Max, right? I said, okay. Nancy is literally in the upside down at Vecna's spot, and he went after her earlier because of her guilt behind Barb. Right. So maybe he's just going to go ahead and rub Nancy out right here, and that's how he's going to get his 4th kill. Of course not. Right.
That would have been justice for Barb.
Max, though.
That would have been justice for Barb, though.
Exactly. And but even stepping outside of that, there are other things. The Eddie death combined with Jason, I didn't see the need for Lucas to be fighting that last fight against Jason. It should have been Eddie, right? And that's where that conflict began at. Jason was the one chasing Eddie. Jason was the one that didn't believe his girlfriend went to Eddie. Jason was the one that was running Eddie's name into the ground. Jason is the one that Eddie was hiding from, right?
Yeah.
And so the resolution of, because Max wanted to be because Lucas wanted to be a ball player, he wanted to be part of the crew, and he's now not part of the crew. Yeah, that's a source of tension with the ball players, right? Who, if you ask me, seeing the things they should have done, should have left Jason eventually. I didn't get the teenage jock death squad in this. That was completely overplayed.
It went so overboard. Hey, everyone watching this, jocks in the 80s didn't go murderous rampage.
No.
Yeah. I almost wish they
I missed it in the 80s. I don't know.
I almost wish they had gone and given some reason for Jason's overreaction, like he's been influenced by Vecna or something, because
that would have at least made more sense.
Yeah.
rather than just, oh my God, when it's part of a, hey, Satanic Panic, it's part of a satanic cult because they do D&D and they listen to heavy metal. And
From what I understand, at least what I grasped from that is they took the borderline fundamental extremism of Christianity and put it into Jason, and Jason was a representation of that, and being afraid of things that he didn't understand. Satanic Panic being that, and then D&D being the underlier with that, which was involved in Satanic Panic, and then that is represented by the Hellfire Club, Eddie, Lucas, Mike, Dustin, so on and so forth.
Yeah, but I mean, let's look at look at it within context of the story they're telling, though. Jason apparently has no parents that are like, Jason, where you at?
Yeah,
it's true.
I know he just crashed like a community meeting about it, and they're all like, yeah, let's go. I'm like, you're listening to a 17-year-old?
Yeah, exactly. What happened to the cops?
All of you?
Right? After they checked Eddie's trailer and they just they went MIA after the meeting, right? And you didn't see any cops anymore until Hawkins is a mess, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Teenage Death Squad jocks really overplayed. I would have liked to see the conflict resolve, the final confrontation between Eddie and Jason, not Eddie and Lucas fighting for the life of Max, right? Okay. It seemed very misaligned to me. And then on top of that, for everything Jason did, man, talk about an easy death, right? He got knocked out, fell on the floor. Guess what? Whatever you call it, a dimension line runs across him and poof, right? He's gone, right? While he's unconscious. They
should have gone full Hellraiser. I would have paid to see Pinhead be like, oh, you played with the box. We have such sights to show you.
It's still creepy to me now, man. Pinhead gets me.
Well, here, let's talk about some of the positives of the season. Let's go into character development. Who do you think developed the most as a character over the course of season 4? My picks for that would be Lucas and Max specifically. I think that their character arcs were the best so far, with Max diving deeper into, her anxiety and PTSD and things like that, and Lucas kind of being separated from the party, like we talked about just a few seconds ago, Tone, with Lucas wanting to be a basketball player and going into to be part of the popular group and things like that, and coming to the realization at the end that he's still in love with Max, always has been, doesn't want to be one of those kids, one of the popular kids anymore, and wants to be with his friends. That's how I see that with them two specifically. Who do you guys think had the better character arcs over the course of season 4?
Well, Max is a given, because that was the whole point of the episode, Dear Billy. But I think we can't talk about volume 2 here without talking about that scene between volume 2, season 4, volume 2. I said.
Got you. Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I did. Put up the number 2. Go ahead.
I will drive to your house. I'll be there in 12 hours.
My door is unlocked. Come on in. I'll put some coffee on. I'll wake up in the morning, take my time.
We've known each other for 20 years. It's fine. No, but I think you cannot talk about volume 2 without talking about that scene between Will and Mike in the van with the painting, and not see that as character development with Will.
Yes, very much so.
Really quick side note. I'm going to throw something in because we just brought up Will. One of the things I don't like, and I'm going to state this the way my niece, Janae, I love you, my sparkle, my sparkle. We were talking about this, and she took a thought I had and she really crystallized it into the perfect phrase. I don't like the way they turned being homosexual into a personality trait in this series. Like, I've known people who were gay since I was a teenager, and they're not any more or less quirky or awkward than anyone else, right? And if you look at Robin's personality quirks, which Nancy didn't have, and Elle didn't have, and Max didn't have, and if you look at Will's personality quirks and his body movements, which Lucas didn't have, and Dustin didn't have, and Mike didn't have, no one had, like they could have just played them as regular teenagers that are struggling with this, right? Versus the quirks they put on them.
Now, those are the two characters with the biggest lack of confidence in themselves too.
Exactly.
Okay. And now, taking that, one step further. Character development. I'm a little hard pressed. I'm going to go, first of all, we didn't get from entrance of character till death of character. I'm going to say Eddie.
Okay.
Right. And I like Eddie's growth more than any arc. I definitely like Eddie's growth more than, I don't think Lucas grew that much at all, personally.
Really? Because
I don't either, but I was listening to Tim's point of view.
I saw it like that was a big part of what I saw in season 2 was like the real change with Lucas in the beginning and then coming back to what he was at the end.
I don't know. I guess my brain just goes, yeah, teenagers do that in high school. You branch out from what the people that you knew, and you either go back to the people you knew or you stay with the people you branched out with.
Lucas starts the show desperately in love with Max, and then it's the show desperately in love with Max, and everything that involves him involves either Lucas being afraid or Lucas and Lucas desperately chasing after Max. And the only time Lucas changes that in the entire first or second half of season 1 is the moment he chooses to stand up in Jason, and that is literally like a 15-second fight, if that, at that point, after Jason beat on him for like 10 minutes.
I know.
And
need to get in there with a roller skate.
They go through the whole police action, put your hands on your head, get on your knees, empty your pockets. I'm like, what's this? This is police action here? Okay, I'm gonna go with that in Stranger Things, fine. And then he's back to, it's all about Max. And so I didn't see much character development or growth. I mean, he stood up to fight for Max, but we never seen anything that he wouldn't, since he spent the entire season fawning after her.
Right.
And so so I didn't see Lucas as having that much character development. Believe it or not, the character that here's a sleeper for best character development. And it's
Steve?
No.
Murray?
Papa.
Yes.
Yeah. They gave more insights into his thoughts.
He's a good tattooist.
They gave more insights into his motivations. Now, they haven't given you his base motivation, why he does this. Why did he reach out and find these kids?
Yeah.
But I found the information they were giving on him and how he was portraying that, and there are parts of this series where you don't really know whether he's a villain or not. Right.
That's very true. Where you're sitting there and you're just like, should I
still consider him a villain.
Yeah.
Even with all the character development, I still consider him.
No, I'm not saying
probably a main villain, but that's just.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying that they gave a bit more of his background, his motivations, the things he's seen, why he does what he does. That's more than most of the other characters here that you get in this series. I mean, I think and I'm staying away from the obligatory Max, right?
Yeah, that's a given.
Yeah,
that's just a given, so with that one whole episode just about her and how we came to the ending. I mean, we could dedicate a whole 2 hours to her development, so we know she developed.
So I would say Max, and then for me, Eddie, and then after that, Papa.
Okay.
Well, and with the Will thing I was talking about, it wasn't really the is he or is he not gay or bisexual or anything like that.
You knew he was in the middle of season 3 if you were even on the fence about it.
My point was that when he hands over the painting to Mike and they have that whole interaction, which is a great interaction, very wonderfully acted and all that, I also see as part of him like, man, that right there represents what I want to go back to, because that's when we were all together in the same place as friends playing our D&D. We had each other. If we didn't have anybody else, that's fine.
Just playing Nintendo and D&D all day. And
then the Upside Down didn't exist. And the second that all existed, his life went to heck and back. Let's face it. This series started with Will, and I hope it ends with Will. I'm looking forward to see what they do with him in the 5th season, because he's still so easily influenced by the Upside Down.
The feeling in the back, and as soon as they got back into Hawkins, I think
that scares him. And I think it scares him also knowing that, Dustin still technically has a girlfriend. Lucas had Max, Mike has 11, Jonathan has Nancy, and he lost all of his friends and all of his safes while almost simultaneously losing his life for like 5 years in a row.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, okay. So let's go into this then. I seem to be outnumbered here as far as
It's like a
thoroughly.
professional wrestling jump. I'm gonna
Yes.
tag you back in, Kristen.
I am in love with
Clothesline
this.
'em.
So I'll give my rating now. We'll go ahead and do volume 2 by itself, and then all of season 4 as a whole for our rating. So bottom line for me, I had a lot of fun watching volume 2. I was anxiously anticipating the day it came out. I think by noon we were watching and we were finished by 5:30. The scene with Eddie playing Master of Puppets, one of the best scenes in the entire series.
There it is.
Yeah, that guy right there.
Yeah.
One of the best scenes in the entire series. And when he hit that first note, I got goosebumps, and I was just going like Dustin was, sitting there listening to him play and watching my son be a part of that, and really getting into the type of music that I listen to on a regular basis, and seeing him just as excited as I was. That, I think, kind of made it a little more for me. So on that aspect, volume 2 gets a very high 9 from me, 9 out of 10. And overall for season 4, I give it a very solid 9 out of 10 as a whole, because I said like what was it, 10 out of 10 for volume 1.
You gave a 10 out of 10 for volume 1. Yeah.
So I guess it would be a 9.5 if you really wanted to get technical, but I think as a whole, season 4 gets a solid 9 from me.
Man.
Yeah, that's so high.
I know. I'm waiting to see what you guys have.
Oh,
what do you got?
I'm gonna go find a Duffy Brothers t-shirt for you.
I am a Duffer Brothers fan. Tone, what about you? Volume 2 and then volume 1.
Volume 2, I think the best I can go is 5. I found it entertaining. There was parts of it that were fun. I loved Erica. We haven't spoken about Erica.
She had good character development too.
Yep. Erica comes through in the clutch.
Mm-hmm.
I still love the group. It had great action, cinematography from a visual aspect. It was definitely on point. Eddie's metal scene, man, that just crushed every aspect of my emotions right there. I was amped, I was fired up, and then when he's on the bike with the bats, I saw the inevitable death coming, which broke my heart. I hoped I was wrong. I wasn't. And even with all those things, the literal hijinks that take place for them to come into being, right, is so off-putting for me. Things are so uneven, so unbalanced, so disconnected, that I had to come away with just a 5 for part 1 and part 2 together, the complete package of season. Probably because of how much I didn't like season, because of how much I didn't like part 2, I'm probably going to say 7.5.
Okay.
I enjoyed
for season 4 as a whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to say 7.5. I like part 1 a bit more than part 2, but I think they could have done better. Part 1 was entertaining, right? I love the full-on horror. The full-on horror sold me on part 1, and it makes it very easy to overlook its challenges. Here in part 2, real quick asterisk, and honestly, this might be the wrong thing to say to Stranger Things fans out there. I'm tired of Elle screaming. They've overdone it.
I'm tired of Elle just being the savior of everybody.
They've just completely overdone the Elle scream. And like her character needs more than that. And dumbass Mike literally says, "I love you. You know, I don't love you. Even if you don't have the powers, you're my superhero." Right? Like, which is it, Mike? Which is it? And so Mike could have died, and I would have been happy.
I would have been fine with that. I would have been fine with that.
7.5.
7.5.
Maybe, you know what? I'm going to go a little lower. 7. I think I'm being gracious. 7.
Okay, Kristen, what do you got?
Okay.
Volume 2 and season 4 as a whole.
All right. So
afraid to hear this.
So we hit on a lot of the points that really made it for me. And just to bounce off what Tone just said, L11. It's not that it's not a great character. It's not that it's not played well. It's just I get tired of going back and forth between savior, no powers, back to the lab, powers, all powerful, save you. Here I am. I love you, Mike. You know,
Well, I don't know if I love you or not, so I'll just say
right.
see you later.
Oh, don't forget, we have immediate magic access to a deprivation tank we can make.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Ex machina. We can. It's all right there for us.
And pineapple on our pizza.
And and with Mike, there was no growth. There has not been growth in Mike for a very, very long time.
No.
And I don't believe he's in love with Elle. I don't think he knows what love is because they're teenagers. I think that his affection for her was based around the point that she was a superhero. She was a comic book character. She was, you know, fighting all these mean baddies, and
Straight
that
out
just
of
did it.
D&D.
Yeah, straight out of D&D. That should be a t-shirt. Straight out of D&D. It probably is somewhere. Things of that nature. And again, like Tone said, there's too many plot points. Don't give me so many plot points. Give me 1 to 2 plot points and just rock them out. Make them really good, really solid. And I'm not going to care that we're not in Russia and then also Nevada or anything like that. It would be just fine. They threw way too much in here. And I don't know if it's an idea that there's a time crunch because there's only 1 more season left, or if, oh, we left our fans waiting for too long. So we really want to make sure we give them a lot. But it just didn't work for me this season. Doesn't mean I'm not going to watch season 5. Just did not work for me this season. So part 1, I gave it a 7 out of 10. And Tim looked like I shot his dog.
What are you gonna do now?
I'm right with Tone for volume 2. I was going to give it a 5 out of 10. Tim still looks like I shot his dog, and I'm going to split the difference. Full season, 6 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm just slightly above average here.
Keep in mind, 5 means it's okay.
We have a 6 out of 10, a 7 out of 10, and then a 9 out of 10.
No, you
You
said
gave it a 9.5.
9.5. Yeah, but realistic though, I'll bring it down to a 9. If the 0.5 is for sitting there watching Eddie blast out Master of Puppets and watching my son be super excited about that.
See, but maybe that's because you're seeing it through different people's eyes. I'm watching it by myself at like 5 a.m. when it came out because I was trying to avoid spoilers.
This was our thing. Like we raced through seasons 1 through 3. And then waited for season 4 and watched that over the course of a weekend, and then waited for volume 2 and then watched that in a day. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming back in 2 years when season 5 comes out, and we will have different opinions then, I am sure. The sour taste in 2 of the 3 of our mouths may have hopefully gone away by then, but we will see. So season 5 I think comes out in 2 to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they're aiming for 2024.
If
I remember correctly.
That sounds about right. Okay, so before we get out of here, Kristen, let people know what they can go and get to look as cool as the sci-fi swordsman down below.
Yeah, and Tone is modeling that so well. So yes, we have merch, we have t-shirts, hoodies, and stickers, and we will drop a link in the video description so that you can go ahead and get your own and look just as cool as Tone does right there.
Absolutely.
And what you can't see is it does have Tone's famous quote on the back of it.
We love heroes, and you are a hero. Right on. I'm going to get the business out of the way, and then I'm going to let Tone, who gave a higher grade than you, Kristen, take us out of here.
Fair. It's fair. No, I take my consequence.
Satanic panic aside, ladies and gentlemen, you know what to do. You know where to go. Your favorite social media platforms, your favorite video streaming platforms, your favorite podcast streaming platforms. All you got to do is type in the Codex Station, and that is where we are. We have new episodes of the Codex podcast, Breaking the Code, and Codex After Dark, where you can see Tone and I every Saturday at 10 o'clock. And this weekend, if you're watching this on YouTube, last weekend, you'll see all 3 of us on Codex After Dark. Kristen's going to join us as a special guest while Jamie is out taking care of biting too hard on a marshmallow.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lot of fun, guys. Like I said, you know where to find us. All you got to do is type in the Codex Station, and that is where we are.
I guess that's it. We have come to the end. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to fellowship with us tonight, to share, participate. Please take the time to join the clan, forward, share with your friends. And as you move out through the day, remember, it's a lot of stress. A lot of people out there are struggling. Keep your chins up, put on your best version of yourself. Here at the Codex Station, we love comics and we love heroes, and you are a hero.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.